When we judges don our robes, it doesn't make us any smarter, but it does serve as a reminder of what's expected of us. Impartiality and independence, collegiality and courage. I am so thankful tonight for my family, my friends, and my faith.
Well, Judge Neil Gorsuch has passed President Trump's litmus test for the Supreme Court. Now, well, he's going to have to get through the Senate. But you got to remember, one of candidate Trump's most profound promises was to appoint a judge who would uphold religious freedom as outlined in the Constitution. So the big question is, does Judge Gorsuch actually pass the muster with the evangelical conservatives? Joining me now to discuss, Tony Perkins and Erick Erickson. Tony, let me start with you because there was that point during the primary process where evangelical support of Donald Trump was up in the air. He came through with a list he was helped by Heritage, and I think that started to turn the needle a little bit. I think that's when some of the evangelicals came on board, and of course, he won an overwhelming amount of their support on November 8th. Did he live up to his promise with this pick?
Well, Charles, I was there last night when he presented the judge to the nation. I think what happened is that, as you pointed out, I think people, evangelicals in particular, came to his support based upon the Supreme Court issue, based also on his pledge to uphold religious liberty, as you talked about, as enumerated in the Republican Party platform. When you look at the record of Judge Gorsuch on the issue of religious liberty, it's very strong record on that. His writings on the life issue, very strong. But I think probably the most convincing thing is, in addition to his opinions and his writings, is his understanding of natural law. He studied under one of the most prominent natural law philosophers at Oxford. And so I think that's where we gain some understanding of where he may be going with some of his decisions.
Erick, same question to you. Of course, we remember when Ted Cruz said Donald Trump would appoint his sister, or certainly a liberal, insinuating that he spent too much time perhaps in Manhattan. But this was not the case last night.
I mean, you couldn't get more Scalia than Neil Gorsuch, other than Scalia himself. You know, he's the judge who decided the Hobby Lobby case. He participated in that decision and had a strong voice in that opinion in the 10th Circuit Court, and really helped shape the Supreme Court's decision on that. He's very, very strong on those issues. He is a solid judge. And what's so profound here, Charles, is that this is a judge who takes a very restrictive view of presidential power and a very broad view of the First Amendment and the rights of protest. You would think that's the guy that the liberals would want on the Supreme Court now in the face of Donald Trump, but they're going to filibuster a guy who thinks the president has too much power. Yeah, well, that question probably, though, will come up during the confirmation process, and that could sway a few of them. I do want to ask you guys about a poll on the election itself, and I thought it was fascinating because I follow on my Twitter timeline and on Facebook. There are a lot of people of faith going into the election who really believed that America was falling off the edge and that we needed divine intervention. So a poll was taken, and 28% of Americans say that God played a major role in the outcome of the election. In fact, 57% of white evangelicals said that. 71% think that God played a role to a certain degree. So the question, Tony, was this to a degree divine intervention, what happened on November 8th?
Well, if you have a couple of days, we'll talk about the definition of divine intervention. I think, yes, it was, I think, God moving in the hearts of his people to do something to save a republic that was teetering. Now, when you talk about did God come in and change the ballots, no. God works historically through people. Western civilization was saved in World War II because of individuals like Winston Churchill. So, yes, God is always at work. Sometimes we join with him. Sometimes we work against him. I think America has a reprieve and an opportunity to undo a lot of the damage that has been done, not only through Barack Obama, but those who preceded him. So a lot of work ahead of us, but I do believe God still has a plan for America.
I'll tell you, Erick, there's no doubt over the last decade, atheists have gained a lot of power in this country. We have kicked God to the curb, whether it's in school and everywhere else. So I do believe we were slipping as a nation. I do believe that we needed an SOS to the high heavens. I'm not as smart about this as you guys are, but I believe that we needed an intervention, Erick.
Listen, I believe in an active sovereign God. Regardless of who won the election, I think it was God's will. And that's why when I see these angry leftists marching in the streets against God, I wish they would surrender their lives to him, and then they'd recognize he's got a plan and he's in charge. There's no reason to be angry and marching in the streets. Everything is according to God's will, and it'll all work out in the end as long as you believe in him. So calm down.
All right. Well, that's a stretch for some of those folks out there. Hey, guys, thank you both very much. I really appreciate it.